This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. From the Australian Gold Country rises Mount Panorama. Traversing up its southern face, across the summit and down its eastern slope is a concrete line, thin ribbon of asphalt. Nowhere else is the line that closes every GSRC broadcast more poignant: race clean, race hard. The first two events gathered the flock, but with those results in the book, this place should thin the herd. From Mount Panorama, it's the MX5 World Tour Round 3 on the Season 17 Championship schedule. And you can see all the simulated Mazda action from Green Flag to Victory Donuts live as it happens right here on the Global Sim Racing channel via the iRacing Esports Network. Good day, mates, and welcome to the Sim Sports News Countdown to Green. Over the next 15 minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to appreciate this MWT Round 3 event that will immediately follow. And here to do all of that is Johan Vanderbilt, joining yours truly, Bill Soups on, in the press box to bring you our Word's Eye view. Joe Peak has director duties, armed with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. All right, Johan, when I race here, my goal is simple. It's just to keep it between the walls.
Absolutely, Bill. A Bathurst race without a car hitting the barrier, well, it's as rare as a British summer without any rain. Mount Panorama Circuit, how the circuit is officially named, is located in Eastern Australia and was opened in 1938. The track is mostly known for the Bathurst 12-hour endurance race that gets held here each February. Now, this venue is a street course and uses pieces of public road that are freely accessible when there's no racing going on. Because of this, combined with the fact that it's located on the side of a hill, the track has some very unique characteristics. The 6.2 kilometer track features a massive 174 meters of track elevation and can have a steepness at some spots of almost 20%. Now, I usually divide this track, Bill, into a few different sections. You finish a starter lap with long straights that provide the best overtaking opportunities. After turn 2, you swing yourself up the mountain using an array of several fast corners in quick succession with the walls close by at both sides, leaving no room for error. Once you reach Skyline, the highest point of the track, you plunge yourself downwards into a frantic mix of left and right-handers where there's even less room for error. Driving around Bathurst is unique and feels incredibly hectic, and to show the viewers how that looks like from on board the Mazda MX5, let's get behind the wheel as we take you for a lap around the track.
Alright, we've got Richard Losper in the GSRC MX5, so let's do a lap around Bathurst. Coming down the front stretch right away, you have one of the most important corners of the track, Hell Corner. It's a simple 90-degree left-hander, and yet because of the long uphill climb after it, it's critical that you have a clean exit. Any driver that comes out of here slow is going to find themselves gobbled up by the car behind. Not that a good exit makes you totally safe. The draft in these MX5s will mean your opponent can hold with you and may even try to pass you depending on how feisty they feel. Expect a few overtakes coming up the hill. But finally, we reach the second turn, Griffin's Bend. This is a really deceiving corner that invites you to come in too hot. The wall on the exit approaches you quick, and the foolhardy will plow right into it. Then we switch right to set up for the cutting. The curved braking zone makes it tough to maximize, and then the unbelievably steep exit makes your speed coming out of it of the utmost importance. Additionally, wrecks here tend to be more like traffic jams because of how blind it is. By now, we're in the thick of the uphill climb as we come around Quarry. This leads us into the quick series of left-handers that are Frog Hollow, Solomon Park, and eventually McPhillamy Park. Each turn really dares you to get as close to the wall as you can while you try to carry your momentum across the top of the mountain. The crests are going to cause the car to be a little light in places too, so I wouldn't recommend trying to go too wide. Finally, we'll hit a drop in elevation, and that starts at Skyline. Cars will only be able to do single file from here until Conrad because it's very thread the needle down into the dipper. The car is going to bottom out there, so be careful with your steering inputs. From there, the series of S's is all about setting up for Forest Elbow. This is another corner that will catch you off guard because you've got to late apex it. Get on the power as soon as you dare, but make sure not to slam it into the outside wall. Like earlier, it's easy for cars to get stacked up, and single car accidents can become 8-car accidents in a hurry. Now we're on the reverse of the mountain straight. Conrad Straight is all about how well you exited Forest, so just plant your foot down and try not to get lost in looking at the scenery. Hopefully, you don't have your opponent trying to put you too wide. It is possible to stay side by side into the chase, but it's not ideal. It's a fast right-hand flick and then throw out the anchors. Most of the passes today are likely to take place here. The exit is pretty blind as you can see, and the crest makes it easy to understeer into the grass. After that, you'll hold right to set up the car for Murray's corner. Once again, it looks like a simple 90-degree left-hander, just like the first corner, but the curb on the inside can make it tricky to get just right. If you manage to stay off the walls and avoided the chaos that can erupt around the top of the mountain, you've finished a lap around Bathurst.
And that is one lap here around Bathurst in the Mazda MX5. Now, before we go to the points, I just want to tell everyone that the Countdown to Green is sponsored by SimSport News, one of the leading sim racing news websites that covers all broadcasted series on iRacing. This website is run by Jacob Tufts and Louise Emerton. Now, these drivers are not just reporting, they also race in several official top-level iRacing series. And for more news, visit simsportnews.com.
All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the points after 2 rounds are in the book. A third place to open the season, followed up with a win in round 2, finds Marcelo Pajan at the top of the ladder. Now, Jaume Torres is a little bit better than Pajan when it comes to finishing, owning a win and a runner-up. But the mystical properties of MWT bonus points slots the Spaniard a point below his Italian rival. Aussie Sonny Catch Me If You Can was absent for round 2, but thanks to no-show compensation that my booth partner will touch on a moment later when he talks about the race details, the 4-time and defending champion hangs on in 3rd place. Belgium is represented with Gianni Quintilier. The former AM champion sits in 4th. Now, after missing the opening round, veteran Travis Swenke took advantage also of no-show compensation. The 3rd place finish in his only appearance this season makes his average high enough to jump past, get this, 37 drivers to be tied for 4th with Quintilier. All right, but there's another championship to look at. That's the AM Championship. Johan, what's going on there?
Yeah, the leader in that championship is Stefan Veenhoff. Now, none of the drivers in the amateur championship have actually finished in the top 10. Stefan Veenhoff is the one that came closest, with an 11th position in the opening round, 13th place last time around in Interlagos. He currently sits with 129 points in front of Maxime de Tilly. I thought 37 positions gained was a lot. Well, Maxime is trying to reach that as well. 14 positions gained with a P14 finish last time around. Derek Holland and Björn de Vries are trying to follow closely to the Canadian, and there's 3 drivers tied for 5th position. Those drivers are Joep Willemsen, Jeroen Uursem and Jean-Marie Fogu. So keep an eye out for those few drivers as they are trying to get into the podium positions in the amateur championship.
And we'll follow both battles on the track. In fact, often the most exciting battle is done by those amateurs because they race with a little more passion and a little less reservation because the guys racing up in the pros know that they're racing for the big numbers. Let's go ahead and look at the event details, y'all.
Yeah, this is season 17 of the MWT Championship. This race is round 3 of our 11th-round championship. The venues this season will mirror the iRacing Advanced Mazda Cup Series, and the season finale this season will be a double header. The no-drop races for the drivers, like Soup just mentioned, so anything that happens on the track matters. However, each driver will receive 3 no-show compensations. Now, what does that mean? If a driver misses a race, he or she is compensated with a percentage of the driver's average race finish. Now, there's also an attendance bonus for the drivers missing no more than 3 events. So there's a lot of Little bonus points to keep in mind in the MWT Championship. The race today, however, is an 18-lap race today. Because of the shrunken fuel cells, there will be one pit stop for fuel. The setups are open. There's no incident cap during the race, but the drivers will have a miles per incident chart, rewarding some extra bonus points if they do not score a lot of incident points in this race here at Bathurst. And I have to say, Soup, scoring a lot of incident points is kinda easy here around this track.
Well, in a matter of speaking, it is, but getting to the incident cap maybe not so easy because it's hard to score a lot of them and still be able to race. That's an issue that I have. I don't really worry much about the incident cap. By the time I've hit the wall 3 or 4 times, my race is over already. Let's look at the weather, see how that's going to play out. Always a factor here in Australia. Sometimes that clear sky makes the track temperature pretty hot. You know, and it kind of is. Look at that. 74 is the ambient temperature. 101 degrees Fahrenheit, the track temperature. You know, so many of these viewers or drivers are from Europe. So can you do the conversion there, Johan? What's 101 Fahrenheit? Do you have any clue?
Yeah, I do. It's exactly 38 degrees Celsius. So that's, well, you can just qualify that as well as really hot temperatures around this track. That's really gonna play some havoc on the tires for the drivers. They will get very hot, especially once they go around the mountain. They will be very difficult with those hot tires that provide less grip, especially in the moments you need it the most. It's really gonna be a struggle for them.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot for this one. You get to change 2 tires for free. When I say free, is you can change the tires while the fuel is filling and it doesn't cost you any time. If you want to do 4 tires, you have to wait a little bit for that to get done. So, Johan, if you were driving here, do you want right side tires or do you want left side tires?
I will probably go for the right side tires. With the way the track is located, going clockwise, if I'm correct, if I say that correct, yep. I will go for right side tires on this track. And well, like I said, with the temperatures, that's really something that the drivers will be very happy with when they make the pit stop.
Maybe it's clockwise on the other side of the equator. I believe it's counterclockwise here, so it looks like they're going that direction. I guess the only turn that you would have a disadvantage on would be corner number 2, Griffin's Bend there, where that's really the only important right-hander. All the other ones are left-handers. Forest Elbow, Murray, Hell, all left-hand corners. You know what? If you haven't done so yet, why don't you think about joining the community of iRacers? They have been at the forefront of simulated racing for over a decade. And you know, a lot of the major series are spotlighted right here on the iRacing Esports Network. So go ahead and check those out. They have races from GSRC as well as all the other broadcasting companies as well. GSRC is proud to be part of the stable of broadcasters on IESN. All right, speaking of iRacing, Johan, there's a special event going on today. It's the 12 Hours of Sebring, and I think that's hurting our attendance a little bit.
Yeah, there's only 18 drivers out there today, but still the field looks pretty close. Sonny Kenshin and David Hampson, they're sitting on top in qualifying. They've already finished both their laps. Marcelo Pagnan, we're currently looking at the Italian. He is the driver that is furthest up the grid so far. Not doing that well. He's not going to get any further with that off track in the last corner. He sticks on the 32.9. Now I'm looking through the rest of the grid. There's not a lot of drivers still on the lap. Jaume Dalmasas Torres is one of the drivers, however. He's currently going through the chase. Now, he's one of the drivers, of course, that won a race earlier this season. Here in Bathurst, Soup, he's not looking that strong.
Boy, he sure isn't sitting down there in 8th position. He's still got time to do better than that. Maybe just getting a couple times in the bank. Let's see what he's doing right now. He comes around Murray right now. Can he better his time? And he's going to stay in 8th. He does not.
Yeah, and that's really gonna not help him because that track position that you have with a good qualifying, that's really gonna pay dividends here. He is gonna struggle a little bit with that. Kip Stevens, that's one of the drivers that was very late in the session, actually didn't get any running in practice. And that will hurt Kip a little bit as well. These are really his first laps that he's doing on this track. When you can see the temperature being that high, as high as it is, that's quite a task that you have in front of you. Just immediately jumping into the car. Now with only 30 seconds left, I don't think he has enough time to finish his lap and get a second qualifying. But he has managed a 2:34.3. With that, he's currently sitting in 10th position.
I think 10th is probably close enough to get him to where he needs to be. With that said, it's time to get to the grid. And remember, when we do go to the grid, I guess I have a sponsor plug to read for that. And it is, who are we talking about? Oh, it's the Hoisingveld starting grid. Remember, Hoisingveld has a large array of products that you can choose from when you do. And then we'll go to there's, you see it right now. Let's go to the Hoisingveld starting grid right now. Sonny Kenshin is going to be on the pole. He's going to be inside of David Hampson. Marcelo Pajan sits in third, flanked by Stefan Van Ostrel. Dries Nice and Jean-Franc Pignot in the sixth position. Gianni Quintier in seventh. And there he is, Jaume Torres down in eighth. We're looking for big things from him. Jody Fike, he has 6 races under his belt here in this track on the MX5 World Tour. So far, he sits in ninth. He's going to be inside of Kip Stevens.
Just outside of the top 10, the first driver on the M category is Derek Holland. He starts on pole there in P11. He's being flanked by the last pro driver, Nicolas Berger. On row 7, we can find Björn de Vos. Good qualifying, just sitting just in front of our leader in the M category, Stef Veenhoff. Trip Smith, he is starting the race in P15. He's being flanked by Jean-Marie Fougou. In the last row of the grid, we can find 2 drivers. Michael Wortman starts in 17th, and it's Jeroen Oersum starting this race in P18.
There you have it. All right, let's get this show on the road. Round number 3 here, the MX5 World Tour season number 17. The series has raced here 7 times in its history. The only active driver with a win, Sonny Kenshin, who has 2 of them. He's raced in 4 events. Jordy Fike and Trip Smith lead all drivers in experience here, each having 6 starts. Fike's best result was way back in season number 10 when he came in 7th position. You can hear the engine start to harmonize. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows. The horses are out of the barn. Let's get this show on the road. Sonny Kenshin leads the stampede down into Held Corner, followed by Hampson, Pignon, Van Opstrel, and Dries Nice.
Everyone immediately going single file as they go through Hell Corner, turn 1 there, except in the back of the grid. Michael Wortman is being challenged by Jeroen Oersum. In front of them, however, it's all single file with Sonny Kenshin being followed by David Hampson. Marcelo Pagnan is getting closer to them. Stefan Van Opstel is losing the draft already a little bit, it seems like. You can see him being challenged by Dries Nice as the rescore.
The front 3 go through Griffin's Bend safely. Not a lot of passing going on in the back. We can tell you that Jaume Torres, who's a race winner already, is up to 8th position. We'll keep an eye on him. He chases Gianni Quintier, who rides in 7th. There's bumping and banging going on so far, but we're okay.
Everyone going clean through the first couple of corners so far. It looks like it. That's very important. It's, of course, a long race, 18 laps. With 2.5 minutes per lap, there's going to be a long drive here around the mountain for these drivers. Stefan Van Opstel is losing a position. Dries Nice, you could see the ending of it there, getting him by him there. That's actually an interesting position going up the mountain. Very difficult to pass there. Stefan Van Opstel having a poor run there. Dries Nice using that opportunity to get by, trying to close down the gap to the drivers in front. It almost looked like those top 3 were driving away, Bill. But Dries Nice has closed down the gap. He's now right on the tail of Marcelo Pagnan.
Yeah, Van Opstel was just a little slow. Didn't really make a mistake, and there was just an opportunity, and Nice went ahead and took advantage of it. Down into Forest Elbow for the very first time. The string of cars all go through. Everybody is clean. And now we'll see who has the straight line speed.
Sonny Kenshin in the front. He has a lot of straight line speed. David Hampson is trying to use the draft to get very close to the Australian. Marcelo Pagnan is falling away a little bit. Behind him, Stefan Van Opstel is trying to get a P4 position back. We were looking now from Sonny Kenshin. David Hampson is getting very close, taking a little look on the inside. No, he just is confident to stay single file and now, maybe saving a little bit of fuel at the early parts of the race.
Boy, the field really was strung out. As they went the back straight there was not a single pass made in the entire field. I thought somebody would make a move. Now they go into Murray's to close out lap number 1. Let's give credit to leading that initial lap to Sonny Kenshin, Hampson in second, Jean and Nice.
Now, as they finish this lap 1, I kind of want to put some emphasis. You mentioned it a few times before in earlier races, Bill, but it's almost like we're looking at a multi-class of, race today with the pro drivers and the M drivers completely splitting each other off. Derek Holland is actually a little bit behind Nicolas Berger. That's a battle for P11 and P12. You can see it there, split visually as well. The pro drivers and the M drivers. Derek Holland in the M category is your leader. Björn de Vos is currently following, but he is being challenged by Stefanov as they go towards Griffiths Bend.
Pros all make it through. Let's go ahead. We'll check in on that amateur. This is Derek Holland racing in 12th. De Vos behind him. Wienhoff in the mix as well. Very, very peaceful to start this race.
I'm actually looking at the drivers that have gained position so far since the start, and there has only been 2 changes position-wise. Dries Nys has overtaken Stefan van Opstal, and Nicolas Berger has overtaken Derek Holland. Apart from that, every driver is still turning around at the place that they started the race.
We ride on board. There's Steph Wienhoff looking up ahead. Yeah, I can report that Sonny Kenshin has not been able to shake David Hampson.
Yeah, that's good news though. We saw Sonny Kenshin's speed in practice, Soup, and you could see how quick Sonny Kenshin is. The fact that David Hampson can't stay with him is good news for the rest of the race. Now, we were also mentioning before the broadcast started that we were maybe a little bit afraid of a high attrition rate around this track, and maybe the drivers were afraid for that as well, because it seems like all the drivers are just taking so much care when they go up and down the mountain. They're really maybe driving at this point at 95% to save the car. David Hampson taking a little look on the inside there off Sonny Kenshin as they went through Conrad straight towards the chase. But once again, he just dives back into the racing line, doesn't want to put it side by side yet, save some fuel. Now, the only car that is driving without a buddy at this moment, that's really Derek Holland, our M leader. The rest of the drivers are all close together. We see a little bit of fighting going on between Jordi Fike, Kip Stevens. It's a battle for P9, P10. Those 3 pro drivers are basically the tail of the pro drivers. They have fallen away from the draft of Jaume Torres in front of them.
Yeah,
and
you
actually
saw.
Was an overtake. Yeah, Jordi Fike losing a position to Kip.
You saw our director pan back there. It's an 8-car pro train up front, and then those 3 guys who have lost touch.
Yeah, and those drivers that are that have lost touch until this point of the race, those are all drivers that are not driving anymore in the position that they started in. Nicolas Berger at the moment having a good run on Jordi Fike. He would have the overdrive to actually make the pass if he wanted to, but as they reach Griffin Bend, he seems content enough to stay there as they go up the mountain. Up front, it's very close between Sonny Kenshin and David Hampson. So
Hampson is the only one who didn't get the memo about behaving early on. He is really looking to the left, looking to the right on the back of Kenshin. Not sure if he's actually trying to make a move, just maybe trying to rattle the Aussie's cage a little bit. That's a tall ask.
absolutely behind them, Jean-Francois Penoy is trying to challenge Stefan van Opstal for P5. That's also one of the drivers who didn't get the memo. Because of their fighting, Gianni Quintalier as well as they reach Skyline. It's a little bit feisty, so those 3 drivers on the tail end of the top 5 are fighting it out as well, trying to drive into that.
"17 cars out there on the lead lap. 18 cars. Jeroen Ursum bringing up the back. Just putting in the miles. Good for him. He's going to vulture some spots as people make mistakes as they go up the hill for the 3rd time.
Ooh, that's a crash. Jordi Fike hard into the wall at Foran's elbow. He got a push there from Nicolas Berger, who didn't anticipate Jordi Fike to break that as early as he did. That's hard into the wall. That's race over for Jordi Fike. We go to a replay of that. Just look here what happened. There's the 2 cars at the back, and once they get under braking, Nicolas Berger just swats him on the rear, sends him to the barrier. Coming hard hit. You can see immediately the car starting to smoke there. Jordi Fike is sitting in the pits. He looks to be a first retiree of the day. That's a shame. Jordi Fike, you mentioned it. He is of course one of the most experienced drivers here in MWT at Bathurst. He was not having that good of a run. He was falling down the order a little bit.
And while we were
His race
watching,
ended way too early. Yeah.
while we were watching that, David Hampson was able to negotiate his round Sonny Kenshin. I'm not sure if Kenshin was all that upset by that, being out front, burning the most fuel. Probably not the worst thing for Sonny to be back in second position right now. Yeah, Sonny taking a creative racing line, weaving back and forth. Just think he's having some fun.
Yeah, maybe he wanted to show David Hampson that he wanted to get by, or maybe indicate to Marcelo Pagnon behind him. Marcelo can overtake him as well. Just use that double draft to save some extra fuel this early point into the race. It's of course lap 4 of the 18 laps that we have here at Bathurst. Now, a lot of these drivers know how this game is being played. As the one behind him. Oh, that's one car hitting the wall. I think it was a leader touching the outside wall there.
Hampson got a little bit of it.
Yeah, no, I think that was just a kiss though. I think that's not any damage that he has there. But he's really pushing everything. And you can see Sonny Kenshin on the inside of, I think, McPhellamy's Park there, taking a look as they reach Skyline. Sonny Kenshin wants a P1 position back because I don't know if he wants to stay behind David Hampson if he's pushing that much. Pushing as well, Jean-François Penoy in the background. He went over the grass in Skyline. And he gets the car back in the racing line, but he almost lost it there, the Frenchman.
Yeah, I got a little case of deja vu. I was calling a race last
sorry,
night.
Kip Stevens, heavy crash. Kip Stevens, heavy crash. That's on the inside going down. There was in the S's. Just too much speed going down the hill, and then hits the wall hard. And luckily for him, Nicolas Berger behind just avoided him, I think, or maybe got a little bit of contact. That's the race over for Kip Stevens. We see it in the replay here as he reaches Skyline. He's now gonna go down the track, down the hill. Full on the brakes, but a little bit too little there, and they're hard into the wall. That's race over for the Belgian.
That was Nicolas Berger that just got around on the right-hand side there. I wonder, Johan, if that's a little case of the consequences of missing practice, coming in here, just putting in qualifying time, doing a little bit of learning on the job.
That is a very, very good point, yeah. That might 100% be it. Well, in the meantime, let's give a little bit of an update to the amateur drivers because they are fighting quite heavily at the moment. The battle is basically split up in 2 groups of 3. There's a battle for the lead going on at the moment. Pierre de Force trying to put it side by side with Derek Holland going into the final corner. Stefanov is a part of that battle as well. Now, these 3 drivers, they are sitting on the podium positions in the amateur category. Behind them, however, there's a good battle going on as well. Trip Smith, he is having a very good run out here. He's P4 in the M class. He's being followed by Jean-Marie Foucault, Michael Wardman, and Jeroen Uursum. So you have basically...
We better go up front. We got 3 wide going into Griffin's Bend. We better cover this one. Hang on. What happened? Can they get it sorted out? They do. Now that is Bajan on the inside trying to make a move now. He's going to slot down into second. Now coming in here is Dries Nice as Hampson loses another spot. This all started when Hampson had a really bad exit out of L corner, was really slow up the straight. He lost all that.
No.
They get together. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars involved, 5 cars involved.
Wow, that's basically the whole pro class being involved in that crash there. It all started with Dries Nice and Marcelo Pagnon side by side through the corner. Marcelo Pagnon not giving any room to Dries Nice there, tracking out way too much. He collected the Belgian there. We can see it in the replay. You can see the black car on the inside there, just tracking out too much. And he just goes in front of Dries Nice. Both cars collect each other, send each other into the wall. And there's a lot of cars getting caught up in that. There's David Hampson getting caught up in that. Quintaillet, Penoy, I think Jaume as well. I think the only driver that was not involved in that was, Gianni Quintaillet, was Stefan van Opstel was involved. Gianni Quintaillet and Sonny Kenshin were the only 2 drivers not involved in that crash.
Well, that's because Kenshin was at the front and Quintaillet was at the back. 1st and 8th, everybody in between involved in that one. So now we got a big spread.
We got a very, very big spread. Now we go back live now. So let's actually see where things stand. Sonny Kenshin, he is leading the race, obviously, at the moment. The gap between him, P2, Stefan van Opstel, he had a little hit on his car in that crash. He can still continue the race though. The gap between those two drivers is 3.5 seconds, as you can see on screen. Without the driver, Stefan van Opstal is in for a huge challenge trying to claw his way back to the leader. Behind Stefan van Opstal, it's the French driver, Jean Frappenois. He's currently sitting in P3. Small gap then to Gilles Cantier. He was the only driver that wasn't involved. He's in P4. And Jaime the Mazda just had a problem as well.
Yeah, I think this was a consequence of the car being damaged on that incident. He just kind of pulls over and lets him go by.
No, before that already, yeah.
Oh,
before
he hit the wall before that.
Before the kink, that's really. It almost looks like, he was throwing the towel in the ring, or having some hardware problems there. Because before they reach the kink, he hits the wall, and that gives him quite a bit of damage. He's currently into the pits to get his car repaired.
Going in with 13 to go, this is really close to not being able to get there from here. This is usually a pit stop I would think would be around 12 to go. This might be too early. We'll see how it plays out. It's going to shake up a lot of points.
Absolutely. Now, I want to put a little bit of emphasis on P5. As we see the battle for P2, this is 3 drivers are there. But behind them, there's 1 driver still turning laps, and that's P5, Nicolas Berger. Nicolas was the only pro driver that basically was not a part of that 3-lap train. He was together with Kip Stevens, who crashed out early in the race, Jordi Fike, who crashed out early in the race. Nicolas was all alone, the only pro driver to do so. But because of that big crash that happened in front of him, he gained, now I have to calculate right, I think 4 positions. And he is now all the way up to P5 after starting in P12. Good run from him so far by just staying out of trouble.
Yeah. He almost found some trouble as he's really struggling to keep that car between the walls. We'll take a look at this one as we ride on board with Berger. You can watch his hands. Started in 12th position, up 7th right now, racing in 5th.
Wow. Sweaty palms, yeah. Sweaty palms looking at his hands working there.
Let's drop in on. Well, I think we'll go to 6th position. This is where the fun is. This is amateurs racing for second here, DeForge, and then it would be Holland in the mix too, and Veenhoff.
Yeah, well, this is actually the lead.
This is the lead, isn't it?
Yeah, Björn de Vos and Derek Holland. Derek Holland was our leader basically the whole race long in the amateur category. He was being passed by Björn de Vos last time around going up the mountain. So this is the first time that the Belgian is leading this race, if I'm correct. Derek Holland behind him. He's quick though. If you look at qualifying pace, he was of course our pole sitter in this class. Now looking at his qualifying pace as they go towards the final corner, very close between them. On raw pace alone, Derek Holland was, around 0.8 of a second quicker than Björn de Vos. So there was a huge speed difference between those two drivers. But as they go racing, the draft is really playing benefit for Björn de Vos, and he can stay in front of Derek Holland now. Stefanov is just waiting behind him, saving some fuel maybe until they come in for the pit stop.
Let's see if that's the case. That's not always the case, these amateurs. They like to mix it up a bit, but you might be right. Look how behaved they are as they head down to Griffin's Bend, or up to Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, they stay all single file there, not wanting to move positions before they go up the mountain. It is Derek Holland there who misses the apex by quite a margin, 1.5 car length. Loses a little bit of connection to Björn de Vos. Stefanov cannot find his way by. They all stay there. Now let's drop a few positions to the next battle. That's the one with Michael Wardman leading it. That is of course the P4 driver in the M category, 9th overall. A lot of positions these drivers have gained because of that big crash in the pro class. Now he is fighting with 3 other drivers. It's still Jean-Marie Fogu in 10th place, Trip Smith, who has fallen down 2 positions there, and Jeroen Oersum is on the tail end of the battle. 4 drivers, but they usually not this far up the grid. But with everything that happened, Bill, these drivers are basically mid-pack overall and are fighting for some very good points in the amateur category.
Yeah, and a tip of the hat to Jeroen Oersum there, who has worked his way up. He was all by himself at the very back. Trip Smith racing with him. Those guys are veterans of the series. I can report there is one driver thinking big picture, and that is Jaume Torres. Remember, he's close in the points. He's the only driver who brought the car back out on the track after it having an incident. Dries Nice, David Hampson, Marcelo Pajan, Kip Stevens, Jordi Fike, their days are all done.
A lot of drivers ending this race very early, and like you say, Jaume is really thinking about the big picture. He will be, and I have to calculate, P6 in the pro category if he finishes here. He's P13 overall. Now, if something happens in front of him, he will of course win some more positions, and that's really gonna pay dividends at later stages of this championship. Those points can really mean a big difference there. As we go to the lead in the amateur category with Derek Holland almost losing control of his car in the chase. He's being overtaken immediately by Stefanov. Look at how far Derek Holland is. He has to work hard to not lose the draft now here.
He does. Bjorn de Force leading in that class. We'll look at this one more time.
And let's go to a replay of that. Now let's just see. Pay attention to how much speed Derek Holland takes into the chase. It's way too much. And you can see him missing the apex first. And then his car starts to slide and slide and slide. And it's a great save in the end from Derek Holland. But he loses a lot of time. And usually you want to stay P2, P3 in these battles at the early parts of the race to save some fuel. But now Derek Holland has to work hard and burn some extra fuel too close up again to Bjorn de Force and Stefanov.
There he goes. We are above. Now you see him coming at you. This track can bite you in so many places, not just on the mountain, but on the flat part as well. We have 13 drivers still on the lead lap. The last one being Jaume Torres. And I think maybe Torres, as he called it a day. I think he's gone now.
Yeah, I think it was too much for Jaume Torres. Of course, he still was carrying quite a bit of damage after the contact that he had with the wall before he reached the chase after the big crash. So that means that we have now 12 drivers left in contention. Let's go through them a little bit, starting with Sonny Kenshin. He is all the way clear from the rest of the grid at the moment, Sonny Kenshin. He is 5 seconds in front of Stefan van Opstel, and that is a lead that's just going to increase for the rest of the race, I imagine, Soep, because last time around it was Sonny Kenshin almost half a second quicker than the Belgian behind him. I don't think that Sonny Kenshin will give that away. Stefan van Opstel here, you can see him in the first lead pack, leading Jenny Cantelier and Jean-Franc Prenard. Those three drivers will really be the drivers fighting for the podium positions.
There you go. Going back a little bit farther, we talk about Pinot back in 4th position. Nicholas Berger racing in 5th. Not a lot of action. The first real action we get to is back here. It's those amateurs. And right now it's de Force. Look at this. Here comes Vienhoff making a move.
Stefanov is looking very feisty, very quick as well. Behind him, Derek Holland.
Wow.
I'm surprised with how quickly he has caught these drivers. I was mentioning how quick Derek was in qualifying, but to see him catching this quickly to those two cars in front, that's really impressive work from Derek Holland. Ooh, he actually comes in.
Yeah, he's going to come in now at the halfway mark.
Yeah, 10 laps to go, and Derek Holland is the first one that blinks. Ooh, Stefanov had a big moment there. You could see looking back with Bjorn de Force what exactly happened. Just too much speed into the final corner. Now, luckily for Stefanov, he barely missed the wall. We go to a replay of that incident. You can see it basically from the roll hoop. Basically the same what happened with Derek Holland a few moments ago. Just too much speed going into the corner.
Yeah, that's gonna cost him a lot of time as he's gonna lose the draft now.
Yeah, almost into the back of Bjorn de Force as well. I think that maybe Stefanov was looking at the wrong braking marker there, just braking a little bit too late. And luckily for him, he didn't hit the wall. He can continue. He is falling a little bit behind. Now, I think the next best battle is the one behind him. That's the one for P8. Michael Wardman, he's being challenged by Jean-Marie Fougou. I'm seeing being challenged. Not really. They're single file. They're very close to each other. This is the battle. Yeah.
Bergut took a peek at him going into Griffins, but then thought better of it, and not that far back, Tris Smith's hanging in there, and Jeroen Ursum as well.
Trip Smith popcorning very hard at the moment, eating the popcorn, seeing what those two drivers are doing in front of them. I think Trip Smith is doing a wonderful job today. He's really staying well with the rest. Same can be said for Jean-Marie Fougou. I think Jean-Marie is one of the drivers that... Michael Wardman is the hard charger today, winning 8 positions already in the race. And a lot of that is because of the carnage that we saw early in the race with the pro drivers, but still, he has overtaken several drivers to be in the P9 position he's currently in.
Don't need to go there, but again, there's a report that Derek Holland made his pit stop. Everything went fine. He's racing in 12th position, last car on the lead lap.
A little thing about Michael Wardman, I have to say though, I would almost say that The few drivers behind him, especially Jean-Marie, are quicker than Michael, but they just cannot find a way past to overtake him. And especially in corners like this, out of Forest Elbow, that's where Michael Wardman is shining, and he's just quick enough to prevent the drivers behind from overtaking him. As I'm saying that Jeroen Oersum has a good run out of Forest Elbow, he might challenge Trip Smith for 11th position.
Those guys are fun to battle. Smith in his Ferrari red machine, Ursum back there in the Heussenfeld colors. He's got to run. Let's see if he's going to make a move here. Smith taking it right straight down the middle. Not going to get it done before the chase.
Yeah, Trip Smith was halfly defending there, going into the chase, staying in the middle of the road. He was not completely on the racing line. Jeroen Oersum had to go around the outside. That would have been a difficult task, as Trip Smith is actually coming into the pits as well. Michael Wardman, see another driver coming down pit road. That's Stefanov. So a bunch of amateur drivers opting in to get their fuel and some new tires.
Couple guys that are annoying me is up in second position. This is Van Ofstel and Quintelier. Quintelier keeps trying to peek in on Stefan, thinks he's going to make the move, doesn't do it. They race for second and third.
And viewers will remember that there was another car in that battle. That was Jean-Franc Pedro. He has fallen down the wayside quite hard. He's very far now. Now let's go back to Stefanov a little bit. He's coming out of the pits at the moment. He was fighting with Derek Holland, of course. Derek Holland didn't have a mistake in his in lap. Stefanov did. He, of course, went very wide, but look at where he is. He, of course, was P3 in the battle all the time with Derek Holland leading. That's really paying dividends because Stefanov is way in front of Derek Holland. The gap between those two drivers is almost 3 seconds.
Their pit stop difference, 2.5 seconds. It was longer for Holland, and that's where that interval, what accounts for that.
Also means that or Stefanov had a very good in-lap after he made his mistake, or Derek Holland had a very poor out-lap. One of the two. At least means that there's 3 seconds between those two drivers, and let's keep an eye on Björn de Vos when he comes in for his pit stop, where he comes out in relative to those two.
Interesting battles on the track. Let's go back to Ursum real quick. We're going to take you back there. This is a fun one. Trip Smith has made a pit stop, so now he is chasing Fugu.
Yeah, Jeroen Oersum is extremely loose there, going down the hill. I would almost think that he was losing it there, but you could see that the gap between the two drivers is increasing immediately because of that. Great car control from the Dutch driver to keep it in a straight line, keep it out of the walls. Out of Forest Elbow, he still has enough draft to close down the gap to Fugu. He doesn't have the opportunity to put it side by side, I think. A little bit too far, but close enough to close the gap again. And both of these drivers still have to make their pit stop in the race. The leader of all the drivers that have made their pit stop is Stefanov. All the drivers in the top 8 still have to come in.
Van Opstroll making his pit stop from second position right now. Quintelier stays out.
Yeah, behind him.
Pino coming in.
Yeah, there's 2 drivers that were basically driving around in P2 and P4 coming in for the pit stop now. It's Nicolas Berger getting by them. I think that these drivers will come out well in front of Stefanov. So there will be P6, P7 overall.
What'll be interesting is De Vos, who's coming in right now in relationship to Veenhoff. That's the one that's going to be in. De Vos just coming in. Let's see where Steph is right now. Just getting up into Murray's.
Yeah, he's coming around the final corner now. We could see him on track. Björn de Vos is still standing still. Now he gets underway. I think this will be very close between the two drivers. Stefanov, of course, has more track to cover, but he also has more momentum coming out of turn 1. Björn de Vos is coming out of the pits now, but Stefanov will have more momentum. He's immediately diving into the draft of Björn de Vos. That helps him a little bit. Has more speed as they go over Cumberland Straight. Stefanov will be the one going into the lead. Where's Derek Holland? Derek Holland is very far. He doesn't have the opportunity to use Björn de Vos as a stepping stone. Use the draft of him to get closer to Stefanov again. Derek Holland really has to put on the pace now, trying to claw down the deficit to these two drivers in front. But it's a Benelux battle between Björn de Vos and Stefanov for the lead in the M Championship.
You know, but don't give up on Holland yet. He has good pace and he's knocked off a little bit of time. So let's see if he can get there. He's got 2.5 seconds to make up. Van Opstroll is in and out. Kenshin, Quintelier, Berger. Fugu and Ursum, the last 5 cars to stop.
Jeroen Ursum up to 6th position. Great race from him. Now we're looking at Sonny Kenshin currently. He's driving around. Let's see if Sonny Kenshin actually comes in for his pit stop. He is of course one of the drivers that hasn't come in yet, together with Kintier, Berger, Fogu and Ursum. And Sonny Kenshin is the one coming. No, he's not coming in. Wow, that was a very strange move from the Australian there, because it was not like he was supposed to put a dummy on someone. He just, well, had some last moment recollections.
Putting a dummy on you, I think, is what he was doing.
I think so, yeah. Well, he completely succeeded with that. In the meantime, I think that we can give the Dory Award to one of our drivers. That's Kip Stevens. He's out there again, driving around to P17, 6 laps down. Sorry, P14, 6 laps down. With the repairs on that car, Kip Stevens is continuing the race. He will, of course, overtake several drivers. Now, this is where it went wrong last time around. Going through the SS, Kip Stevens keeps it out of the wall now. So I think that with Jaume Damascus Torres out of the race, Kip Stevens will move himself up to 13th place and will score some extra points with that.
Nicholas Berger makes his stop. I don't think there's anybody he has to worry about. He was racing alone when he came in. I expect him to probably come out all by himself. He was racing in 5th.
Yeah, behind him it will be more exciting. Jean-Marie Fogu and Jeroen Ursum, those 2 drivers that were battling, are coming into the pits at the same time. It will take, of course, a little bit of a little while before those cars are completely fueled up. You can see Jeroen Ursum taking right and tires. Jean-Marie Fogu taking no tire.
Yeah, the guy who left the party early was Trip Smith. He's just working out of Murray right now.
Ooh, and look at Jeroen Ursum. He gets very early going. Jean-Marie Fogu has a horrible pit stop. He is already overtaken by Trip Smith, and Trip Smith will be battling with Jeroen Ursum out of the pits. This is a little bit less close than we saw Björn de Vos and Stef Vedov, but with more momentum now for Trip Smith. He will be closing down the gap to Jeroen Ursum in front of him. Use the draft to catch up to the Dutchman once again.
That'll be fun. Ursum slots out in 10th position. 2 drivers, Kanchan and Kintier, still need to come in. And when pit stops are done, then we're going to go to our Trips back marker shout out. It'll be a sharp one today.
I think we can hold the field today.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see with Sonny Kenshin. He's coming now over Chase. Of course, Sonny Kenshin is doing a great job here so far. He doesn't really have anything to fear from the drivers behind him. The gap between him and Gianni Quintoyer has grown to over 8 seconds. Before that as well, Sonny Kenshin was just driving in no man's land, driving his own race, trying to put in as many qualifying laps as he can. Now again with a really strange driving line, he goes into the pits, goes to take his tires and his fuel. Gianni Quintoyer behind him as well comes in to the pit stop. Yes, he doesn't pull a dummy on me. It means that all the drivers will have made a pit stop. Now, Sonny Kenshin, of course, I think they will go flawless, his pit stop. But the one that also comes in, Gianni Quintier, that will be more interesting because he was fighting with Stefan van Opstel and Jean-Franc Penoir. Let's see where he comes out in relatively to them.
Yeah, we look there at Van Opstel now. Just, where's he through the chase? Yeah, he's just coming up to Murray. Quintier sits. Now he's still sitting. Got to get going. Johnny, let's go. He starts to roll. But I think Van Opstel's going to get him.
Yeah, absolutely. This looks almost mirror from what we saw with Björn de Vos and Stef Vedov. Well, Stef Vedov was a little bit further behind than Stefan van Opstel. He doesn't even needs to dive into the draft of Quintier to get by. So Stefan van Opstel inherits that P2 position. Gianni Quintier will be fighting for the podium spot. In the meantime, Kip Stevens came in for another pit stop. That's the second time that Kip Stevens went in. Got some extra repairs and is now just being lapped by Sonny Kenshin.
6 laps down with 6 to go. He's getting to the point where he's not going to be able to make up any ground, even if there were some problems in front of him. All right.
No, I think... Oh.
With the pit stops done, let's pay some bills, Johan. I'm going to turn it over to you. And I like it when things work out this way. When we do our Trips back marker shout out, we starting with Trips list? Oh, I guess not. Who are you starting with?
Oh, let's start with Jean-Marie Fogu. He is the last driver on the lead lap, P12 overall. Good race for Jean-Marie, winning 4 positions in the progress, but he's a little bit in no man's land at the moment. Then we go to Trip Smith. Who else? He's driving around to P11, having a good battle for a top 10 position with Jeroen Oersum just in front of them. Jeroen Oersum, what a race for him, winning 8 positions so far in the race. Both drivers, however, have fallen down the wayside from Michael Wardman. Michael Wardman also winning 8 positions in the race. He is now on his way for P4 position in M category, driving around P9 overall. Derek Holland cannot claw his way back to Stefanov and Björn de Vos. He's driving P8 overall. 3rd place in the M category. Björn de Vos and Stefanov are still very close. Björn de Vos, let's look at him first. He's driving P7 overall, but just in front of him is our leader in the M category today and in the M championship overall. Stefanov, he's driving around the P6. And well, let's just finish the trip back shout out with Nicolas Berger. He's the last pro driver that's still turning around, winning 7 positions in the progress. Nicolas Berger is a little bit alone, but having a good result out there today.
There you have it, Trip's back marker shout out. And we'll keep an eye on that Trip Smith, Jeroen Oersum battle going on. I can report while we were doing that Kip Steven had an incident with the wall, so his day is now officially done. 12 cars racing, all on the same lap.
Jeroen Oersum having a horrible run for Forest Elbow, and look at him and Trip Smith. They are fighting. We will keep an eye on it while they're currently side by side as they're going through Conrad Straight. Jeroen Oersum will have less momentum now with Trip Smith on the outside. Still side by side, you can see that red car just gaining more and more momentum, more and more track position. I think that he will be clear once they reach the chase. That will be very important, because if you can take the racing line, that will really pay dividends. He now slots in front of them. Jeroen Oersum behind. We'll have a little bit of draft. Will you take a look on the inside here of the chase? Oh, they stay single file, so it's Trip Smith winning a position. Jeroen Oersum now outside of the top 10.
You have a man with the nickname Trip the Arrow Smith, multi-time clean driver champion, being chased by the man in charge of the incident review team, Jeroen Oersum. I guarantee that these guys are not going to get together.
That's a bold prediction here at Bathurst, I have to say, soon. But let's hope that that's actually true, because these drivers are having fun out there. This is a very good battle for a top 10 position. Now, we mentioned before, these are drivers that usually are not near the top 10. They're usually a little bit further down the grid. So for these drivers, this battle will be really important. Both of them will love to add a top 10 finish to their name, and they're both currently doing their best to accomplish so. Meanwhile, let's look at the battle between Björn de Vos and Stefanov, because that one, the battle for the lead in the M category, is also heating up. They're right on each other's noses as they go up the hill, and I see that Stefanov is behind. That means that Björn de Vos got by last time around.
Yeah, there are really 3 battles that we're watching. This one right here between Dienhoff and de Vos. The other one is Van Ostro and Quintelier. They are nose to tail, and of course Oersum and Smith.
Yeah, there's one between Stefan van Opstal and Guy Quintelier. Let's take a look at them, because they are now coming down the hill. Basically the best overtaking opportunity that you have now. With only 5 laps to go, time is starting to tick. You don't want to lose the draft now, because that kind of means race over and opportunity over if that happens. But is this already the point to really start fighting? I think that these drivers can start fighting, however, because behind him, Jean-Francois Penoy is over 10 seconds away from Gianni Quintelier. Now track position will be more important. They don't have anything to fear from drivers behind him. Stefan van Opstal outbraking himself slightly there, going down the chase, missing the apex. You can see Quintelier immediately closing down the gap. He has more momentum, taking a little look on the inside of the last corner. Will this be a move for P2? Quintelier breaks a little bit earlier, gives Stefan van Opstal the room back. Things stay as they were.
Yeah, Quintelier poking and prodding, but is not forcing the issue yet. But there are still 4 laps of racing to go. Plenty of time for him to get a little more desperate. All this going on behind Sonny Ketchen, who is almost 9 seconds ahead of everybody out there cooking with hot fish grease. There is Sonny Ketchen.
Ooh, move happening between Trip Smith and Jeroen Oersum side by side as they're going through the kink. What a move from Jeroen Oersum. Save it, buddy. Save it. He saves it. Yes, what a move. Beautiful. He completely lost control of the car there on the inside of the kink. And what a car control from Jeroen Oersum to not lose it there at the fastest point of the track.
Oh, that was fun. That is worth another look. Let's look at this one. I don't know if this was good driving, but it was fun driving. Here we go.
Wow, just look at those hands there. full opposite lock, both sides, 1 tank slapper, 2 tank slapper, and he gets the position done as well. What a beautiful move from Jeroen there. He's back to a top 10 position, and well deserved, if I may ask.
If that track was 6 inches less wide, he'd be in the wall right now. He used up all the pavement. Jeroen Ursum looking to get a top 10.
And this battle seems to be, this was really fun. This battle seems to stretch out a little bit, so that means that we can put our attention to the P2 overall battle, because those two drivers are coming down the hill as we speak. Stefan van Opstal, he is currently driving around in P3. I think that means that, that means that Quintier actually found his way past him early in the lap. It was going towards Griffin Bend. Quintier got his way back. Stefan van Opstal now out of Forrest's elbow will have an opportunity to find his way back. He is a little bit too far behind. So you can see around 6-7 car lengths between the two. Now we will use the draft to close down the gap as they reach the chase. Maybe into Murray's corner he can take the little move and try to take back a P2 position.
Yeah, I was under the impression that Quintier might have been faster than Van Opstal, was just back there waiting for the right time. He got the pass made. Now Van Opstal and Leteau, they head up into the chase.
Of course, it was a little bit visible in qualifying. In qualifying, Quintier was a half a second slower. Stefan van Opstal outbrakes himself. Goes over the grass there. Now I don't know if that's a slowdown penalty that he will get for missing the corner there. At least it will be one of those off tracks that you don't want for your master per incident bonus. He stays in front, however, gets another off track there, I think on the exit of Murray's corner. But he stays P2. Now, sorry, that was Quintier, of course, making those mistakes, not Stefan van Opstal. But Quintier is fighting in front of Stefan van Opstal. Good battle between those two.
Oh, he should be a sitting duck, though, this time, if Van Opstal wants him. He's only a car and a half length back now. Now he's starting to close. Let's see what type of racing line Quintier takes going up into Griffin's Bend. Right out of the middle. He's going to force Van Opstal to go around the wide side. I don't know if he's going to get there before the corner. Then I have to go too wide through corner number 2.
The interesting thing that we're seeing, though, is they're 100% fighting now. They're not granting each other overtakes anymore, trying to work together. They're really fighting tooth and nail. Beautiful move there from Stefan van Opstal on the outside of Griffin's Bend. Gets that position back to P2 for him.
Right on board with Quintier looking up. Don't need to go there. I can report, though, that DeForest is leading the AMs in 6th position. Bienhoff about a car length back, and they start to go up the hill.
Yeah, those other two battles that we were focusing on the last few times are out there still as we left them. So we can really focus on this P2 battle with Jenny Quintier following Stefan van Opstal as he reached Skyline. Now this is one of the things that I always found most difficult at Bathurst, if you're in the position where Quintier is, because now he drops back a little bit, but if you're right behind the driver in front as you go down the hill, it's so difficult to spot your braking points, your turning points as you go down the hill. And really where the walls are this close, it's so important to be inch perfect. If you're an inch too late anywhere, you will lose control of the car, you slam it to the wall. It's so difficult to follow closely here. Quintier doesn't lose momentum, he stays roughly where he was going up the hill. Now he will be in the draft trying to close down the gap to Stefan van Opstal. Now remember, these drivers only have 2 more laps to go as they reach start-finish line. So time is ticking.
Here comes the run. Van Opstal up in front. Quintier, oh, he lifts. He's going to wait.
If Quintier doesn't want to try and overtake that yet, let's move back to our M leaders at the moment. They're not as close as these two. Might be worth to put a little bit of emphasis on that battle as well. Stefanov is still following Björn Force there. Stefanov having a good run now. Look at how quickly he's closing down the gap. Will this be maybe better for the lead in that class? As they go through the King, Stefanov stands behind, takes a little look on the inside, but just slots back in. Yeah, not enough speed or momentum there to put it side by side with Björn Force. Takes how it is.
When these came out of the pits, there was hope that Derek Holland might be able to get into the mix as well, but he was 2.5 seconds behind. Now he's almost 4 seconds behind. Doesn't look like he has the pace. So those guys are going to be battling for the AM win today.
Let's go back to P10. Jeroen Ursum and Trip Smith, they're also going down the chase. Now let's see, because Trip Smith has a lot of momentum there. Taking a little look on the inside, but slots back around. Not enough momentum to try and move, and as they go through the chase, he loses a little bit of momentum. Jeroen Newsom at a tighter racing line. So all the battles are staying as they are. 2 laps to go. Time is ticking though. The drivers really have to decide now, where do you want to be as we go into the final lap? Do you want to lead those battles, or do you want to be the leader, the leading party, and trying to overtake, set yourself up for a lot of draft, going over Comrade straight in the last lap?
Tripp did a good job of getting back into the mix there with Ursum after Ursum got by him with that tank slapper. Smith dropped back a little bit, but now he gained up that spot. All right, we're going to jump you around a little bit. Let's go up to second, because here comes Gianni Quintilier. He's about a car length back. Now, Johan, there's really no need to make the pass in this technical section, right? You just want to be close enough, and it's easier to do it on the straight, right?
Absolutely. This part is surviving. And if you want to make an overtake, why would you do it here if you can just as well do it on those long straights that are following now out of Forest Elbow? You just need to set yourself up for a good exit here, and that's basically what the whole up and down part is for. Don't crash and set yourself up for a move here. And you can see Quintilier having a reasonable exit, but he's still quite far away from Stefan van Opstal. He used the draft to get close. The last time around, Quintilier actually lifted, not wanting to pass Stefan van Opstal yet. Will he do the same here?
Yeah, as we watch it, looks like they're not interested in making the pass until the last lap, which will be coming up right now as they come around. So with that, let's jump back to 6th position, because I think these guys might be a little more aggressive. Here comes Veenhoff. He's got to run, and I think he wants to force.
Yeah, if you compare it with Stefan van Opstal and Quintilier, Stefan Veenhoff had a way better exit out of Forest Elbow than Quintilier had. Look at him, Björn de Vos defending the inside, Stefan Veenhoff staying in the draft as much as he can, both swerving over Comrade straight. Stefan Veenhoff seems to lift a little bit as well, takes a little look on the inside, braking later, but not enough to put it side by side. They stay as they were. I think Stefan Veenhoff just wants to be the one trying to follow Björn de Vos going into the final lap.
Okay, so with that, let's go back up into 2nd now, because they head to another passing zone. This is the last lap. Our leader is taking the white flag. Van Opstal, boy, he's way out in front. Quintilier's got to get going here if he's going to make a pass on this last lap.
And the battle between Jeroen Ursum and Tripp Smith, we don't have to go there, but just a small update is that Jeroen Ursum is slightly driving away from Tripp Smith. However, Jeroen Ursum just made a small mistake, so Tripp Smith is closing down. He's still in the draft. When I started the sentence, I didn't think he would be for the last lap, but it's still a battle going on between those two drivers. But all the way up front, Sonny Kenshin is leading. He's going towards Skyline now. What a race for Sonny Kenshin. That big crash that we saw in the Pro category really helped the Australian to win at its home race. 8 seconds clear of P2. That's probably not such a dominating margin that he expected starting this race.
Let's peek in on 6th real quick. They're going up the hill. I don't think anything's going to happen here, but they are less than a car length apart. De Vos and Veenhoff. We'll keep an eye on everything, and meanwhile, Sonny Kenshin is just coming down into Forest Elbow.
Yeah, I think that Björn and Steph will stay where they are, but as we see Sonny Kenshin coming out of Forest Elbow, now maybe you can take a look at Stefan van Opstal and Guinea Quintilier, because those two drivers are reaching Forest Elbow now, and they're very, very close. 2 car lengths between the two. Quintilier setting himself up. What a good exit Quintilier has, way better than the last few times. And he will be threatening Stefan van Opstal for sure now for P2.
We can stay on this one, and I'll keep an eye on the leader. He's not to the chase yet. I think we're going to see a pass here. Here comes the momentum from Gianni. A half car length back. He moves to the left. Side by side, he's going to have the momentum going into the chase. I think he's going to close the deal. Kenshin is just going through the chase right now. That's finished up. Let's go to our leaders. He only has one more corner to do, and that's Murray. It's the left-hander. Started on the pole. There was an accident behind him. He goes wire to wire. Well, not really. He was in second for a while, but he wins round 3 here in the MX5 World Tour from Bathurst. Let's go to Van Opstal.
Yeah, behind him. Yeah, Quintilier was defending the inside on Van Opstal. He's coming out of the last corner, almost side by side, but it's Quintilier finishing P2. And let's go to Stef Veenhoff. He's on the outside of the kink on Björn de Vos. He is on the inside going into the chase. He has a nose length in front and he has the better side of the track. He stays in front. That's the lead in the M category that he has. But Björn de Vos is fighting back side by side. Now it's de Vos on the outside with slightly more momentum, it seemed like. No, it's Stef Veenhoff. They're so close. You know what, Netco at this point of the race. Breaking for the final corner. Björn de Vos is way later trying to take the momentum. But he tracks out. Going over the grass. Stef Veenhoff. They're side by side. It's Björn de Vos with just a nose length, I think. Winning the M category. That was 15 thousandths of a second between the two.
Let's go to Jeroen Ursum as he's trying to fend off Trip Smith as they work their way through the chase. Ursum off in the alfalfa. He's going to lose momentum. That's going to let Smith get a run on him. Smith in the Ferrari red car moving to the inside now. Is he going to do it under braking as they head down into the final corner? Ursum will have the wide angle in. Smith gives it to him. Ursum is not going to be able to get it wound up, and he's hanging on to it. Ursum finishes, gets the top 10. Trip Smith's going to finish just outside in 11th. Woo! Yes, this field was small, but it wasn't short of racing action. My goodness. Coming across, Jean-Marie Fugu, the last car on the lead lap, the last car racing, 12th. All right, the racing is over here in Australia's gold country, but our broadcast is far from done. We're going to step aside, and we'll be back quickly for the Hoist and Gold wrap-up, where we'll run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before putting a lock on the gate. You're watching GSRC on IESN. Stay close. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing channel, streaming your way on iRacing Esport Network. With the MX5 World Tour Round 3 from Mount Panorama done and dusted, it's time for the Hoisingfeld Wrap-Up. Hoisingfeld solutions currently are being used by countless professional teams and drivers, and is now within budgetary reach, all without having to compromise on realism and engineering value. They offer advanced vehicle software and hardware able to simulate any combination of race car and track. Be a race car driver and get in touch today at hoisingfeld.com. All right, here is your finishing order. It was not wire to wire as he surrendered the lead for a little while, but he started on pole and the win goes to Sonny Kanchan as the big accident behind him took away all of his competition. Johan and I were talking while we were off screen, the great job of racing that Gianni Quintilier did of avoiding the big one, able to negotiate his way through and get the runner-up position. What a great run from him. We're going to get to talk to him in a minute. Stefan Van Ofstroh rounds out your podium. Jean-Frank Pignot had a very quiet fourth place position ahead of Nicholas Berger. Great battle going on for the AM leader back there. Bjorn de Forge gets the best of Stef Veenhoff. De Forge will get 6 place points, Veenhoff 7th. Derek Holland not able to catch up to those guys in 8th. Michael Wortman in 9th. Rounding out your top 10, we saw it. It's Jeroen Ursum. I'm going to take all the cars on the lead lap here. I'm going to go for it. Trit Smith comes home in 11th. Then we get down to the last car on the lead lap, Jean-Marie Foucault. Now I'll turn over to the guys who had trouble to my partner.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the drivers that are currently calling the trash heap to see if they can repair their MX5s, because they had some trouble coming up the hill early in the race, starting with Jaime Damascus Torres. He is only classified in P13. Kip Stevens came out a little bit after that, trying to win some extra positions. Well, actually did so. Still only classified in 14th position. Dries Nice, David Hampson, Marcelo Pagnan, a lot of drivers that you're not used to seeing in the positions that they are in here, all involved in that big wreck in the beginning of the race. And Jordi Fike, he was one of the amateur driver victim, or one of the pro victims early in the race, hitting the wall. He's classified P18.
Okay, it's time for interviews, and I'm going to be able to talk to our race winner, Sonny Kanchan. All right, Sonny, I'm going to lay a little stats on you here. This is your 5th race in the MX5 World Tour at Bathurst. You've won 3 of them. Congratulations. You do well here. Not to mention a win last night, too. You got the win last night, didn't you? Yeah. Been a pretty good week.
Yeah, hi, Soup. Yeah, it's been a pretty good weekend, like you said. After a win from last night, and like I said, post-race, wanted to win for sure here, and glad it came out that way. It was incredibly tough, though. This track is very dynamic, and got to give it my 100%. And even though you're alone in front, as to what happened behind me in the beginning of the race, very unfortunate to say. I haven't looked back, so I got to get going and had my own race. I guess at the end I had a lot of fun, and good to know that's 3 out of 5.
You led early, then you surrendered the lead a bit. Do you ever have thoughts about, gee, maybe I don't want to be leading and doing all the work, burning up the fuel, or does that not enter in your thinking?
It does, and it depends on who is in front of you. So that is really important for me. I mean, who am I racing with around me? So at times I'd prefer to be in front, as was in this case. But I was also very watchful of how things were behind me, especially into that corner, the cutting corner where things happen. I was really everyone's breaking points and things like that. I just need to just make sure that they're not too different to cause cause them to give me a love tap or something like that, or me in front. So there's so many things to consider, whether to help you. I mean, over time you will realize, if you want to be in front or behind. In this race, particularly, I'm glad I was in front, though. It could have been easily been me there involved in that incident.
Okay, we're going to leave this place that you know so well. We're going to take you to, it'll be actually next week as we go to Tsukuba. Have you raced there much? Are you going to be able to race with us next week? And if so, what do you think of that trip?
It's really something I used to race before in a few other sim racing games, but not in iRacing yet. I did a couple of hot laps, but it will be a challenge for me. But like any other new track, like one of the seasons we did this Netherton, I'm looking forward to it. So I'll have to put in some laps though. Let's see how we go.
I know you like to practice, but I think you get that practice, and I think it should play into your favor. A little harder for some of those guys to stay on your coattails. Maybe you can run away with it. Hey, good luck down the road. We'll keep an eye on you.
Thanks, Hugh. I don't know if you've seen some of those dummy pit stops that I tried.
Yeah,
and also, I was trying to beat my own quality time. So I did have fun, even though I was alone in the front. But looking forward to the next race. Thanks.
Yeah, I thought you throw the dummy on the commentators is all. Nice job. We saw it. Thanks a lot. Sonny Ketchen, always fun to interview. Let's go ahead and see who Johan has caught up with.
Yeah, I caught up with P2 finisher, Jenny Cantier. Jenny, welcome to the booth here. What a race for you. It basically was lap 5. You were on the tail end of that 8-car train for the lead lap. And like Moses in the Red Sea, everyone just parted way for you.
Yeah, that was an amazing moment. I wasn't having the best quality, not the best pace today compared to last 2 races. So I was thinking 2 things at the start of the race. Or I'm going to attack if I have the pace. Or I'm just going to wait till something happens or the pit stops. And then that moment happened. I saw the smoke. I didn't know how many cars there were involved in. But yeah, somehow I managed to avoid Tomas Torres. And then I went going. I had to close the gap to Steven. He was driving really fast. He was faster than me, but I could keep up in the draft, and then I only had to finish it in the last lap.
Well, you of course come home with P2 in the end. Now, looking at the race, how it went today, how comfortable are you, for example, going next week to tracks like Tsukuba? Are you confident that you can basically repeat what you did today, get another podium position at tracks like that?
I don't know. I'm not racing the next 2 races because of circumstances. Next week I'm gonna be in Austria skiing, and then the race after that I have a real life karting event. So I will be back in 3 races only. I have to rely on my no-show compensation. But with the good points from today and the great races from the last 2 races, I think my no-show compensation will be pretty high.
Absolutely. Well, it's a shame to hear that you won't be here next week because you really put in some performance today with Stefan van Opstal fighting so hard as you did. There are good reasons to not show up at least. Have fun next week in Austria. Going back, the next race that you will be back on racing, however, let me see. We have Tsukuba, of course, next week. The race where you will return is Spa-Francorchamps. Is that going to be your home race? Are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. Spa was, I think, the first or the second week in the Advanced Mazda series this season, and I really had the pace, to quali at front and battle with guys like Marcelo Pagnan and Jim Fides. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Very good. We'll keep a star next to your name and keep an extra eye on you once we reach Spa-Francorchamps. Thank you for talking with us, Gianni. Enjoy the champagne and congratulations once again scoring P2 today here at Bathurst.
Yeah, thanks guys. I just want to say great race from Steven. He was really fast today.
Very good. Like I said, Gianni Cantier finishing here P2 at Bathurst after a heavy battle with Stefan van Opstal during the race.
Skiing one weekend, karting the next weekend. Man, I'd like to just hang around with him for a little while. We'd like to thank everybody at the Quality Racing Syndicate for organizing this series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks to the sponsors, SimSportNews.com and Huizinfeld. On screen now are just some of the equipment and software used to stream cyberspace into your place. The original music comes from Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde. See the screen to have to contact each of them. The MX5 World Tour returns in 1 week for round 4 from Tsukuba. GSRC via IESN will be there to bring you all the action. We hope you join us. The next IESN broadcast is the European region of the majors. Round 3 from Spa. Our friends at RaceSpot bring you the action starting 12 noon Eastern, Sunday, March 3rd. Sliding across your screen now are just some of the upcoming GSRC broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you want more information about us, go to globalsimracingchannel.com, Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Also, if you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber by heading over to our YouTube page and hitting that big red button. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Johan, Joe, and Dougie, I'd like to thank all of you for watching as Sonny Kanchan gets his first win of the season and his third career win here at Bathurst. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.